Okay, it's been a while with the episode reviews. They're back now. Let's get some real quick stuff out of the way. Quickly, where are the episodes that I didn't review? I've seen them, obviously. In fact, I watched pretty much all of them as they were airing every week. But I didn't feel a need to really make a video about them because honestly, there's not that much to say. I don't like Psyqualia. You may like it. I don't. I think the VF gloves, still dumb. Don't like them. You may like them. I don't. The card fights were very rushed by and everything. I just didn't like that arc very much. And it wasn't even bad in an interesting way because I kind of already said all the things I didn't like about it. Really don't like that they made it so that Aichi won against Kai in the very second episode. Legit. Aichi's very first card fight and he beat Kai. Like, legit. I assumed that Kai let him win, but they outright tell us multiple times in this arc that no, Aichi actually beat Kai legit, and that really rubs me off the wrong way. However, I think the Aichi versus Ren card fight onwards kind of redeems the arc a little bit. Not entirely, but I think that card fight and the Aichi versus Kai card fight afterwards, those episodes are pretty good. Not great, not amazing, not worth slogging through the rest of the Foo Fighter arc to get to, but they're good. And I like how in this new episode, they basically outright mention the Psyqualia thing isn't really going to be a thing anymore. I think it's Tetsu or someone. It's like, don't worry about Psyqualia anymore. So that's good. Oh, and of course there was a recap episode, but do you really expect me? What am I going to say about a recap episode? They recapped the things that happened. So anyway, now that that's out of the way, the episode reviews are back. And if you're worried about me just bitching and moaning about how things are different to the original, I am totally going to keep comparing things to the original, obviously. But I've got some positive things to say about this episode. In fact, I'd say this episode was more positive than negative. So actually, I'm kind of getting my hopes up here. Let's get through the very, very minor things first. I don't like that this arc doesn't have the new logo and everything. If you're a Vanguard fan, and if you have been one for a while, you'll know that each Vanguard story arc tends to have its own different version of the logo and its own new poster and everything, and it gets a new completely different entry on My Anime List and Kitsu and everywhere. And I really like that. And I was expecting the same thing to happen here. I was expecting this to be the first episode of CardFight Vanguard Deleters, it would be a new thing. So you'd have CardFight Vanguard V, and then you'd have CardFight Vanguard Deleters, similar to, Stride Gate, Gears Crisis, Next, Z, etc, etc. I was expecting something like that, and you could go, yeah, but it's only been 27 episodes. Why would they make a new series and logo and everything already? But again, Gears Crisis was really short, Stride Gate was really short, GZ was really short, so I was expecting this to get its own entry. Again, very, very minor thing, I just think it would have looked cool to see the new logo and everything. Oh well. We got a new opening theme, and it's basically everything I've asked for. I have a couple minor problems with them, but those minor problems only really exist because it's so much better than the previous opening. So the previous opening, at first I think I said I liked it, but over time I had problems with it. The visuals were far too simplistic. It's just, most of the opening is just a bunch of characters standing around dramatically, and then when the chorus kicks in, you see a bunch of shots of Blaster Blade and Dragonic Overlord and so on, looking cool and posing and stuff. And that's basically the opening. The visuals are very kind of nothing. This is no Fighting Gold, for example, if you're familiar with JoJo. And the song itself, I feel like is a bit too generic. I quite like the song, I just didn't think it was a very good Vanguard opening. And in fact, again, I quite liked it at first, but it just kind of grew old to the point where I was consistently skipping the opening theme, and I very rarely do that. Usually when I watch an anime, I'm the kind of person to watch the anime episode from the very beginning to the very end. So the opening theme, the ending theme, all that stuff. Sometimes even the next time on kind of thing at the end. And I found myself consistently skipping both the opening and ending theme to the V series. Not feeling the new ending theme very much, we'll get back to that in a sec. But the new opening is much better. You know how I said back when this reboot was first announced that, if you're gonna have the Vanguard opening done by an idol group, why not have it be done by Ultra Rare? And they finally done it. And I guess I was right, because boy, this opening is so much better, both in terms of the song and the visuals. Visuals still aren't anything amazing to write home about, but it does look a little bit more substantial. I don't like that it spoils the arc, basically. See, that's the thing. A lot of anime openings, they try to be all clever and be like, oh, we spoiled the arc without you realizing. And it's a very fine line because some of them, like some of the JoJo openings, for example, do that really well. You know, they're subtle enough that you don't really notice until the spoiler happens, and it's cool. But it's a very fine line, and this opening doesn't even try to hide it. Like, you got shots of Takuto and Koji Ibuki and all that other stuff, and it's like, yep, that's a spoiler. Like, it's really obvious. However, I like the implementation of the opening theme in this episode, because basically, this episode begins with the Asia Circuit, and we'll get to that in a sec. There's a lot to kind of get through for this one episode. And then you get the opening theme, and the opening theme fits in universe. So basically, they actually frame the opening theme in universe by having Ultra Rare come up on stage and go, they will perform their new song, and then the opening kicks in. That's really clever. And of course, everything before that in the episode was pre-time skip, but the opening theme is all time skip stuff. And I was like, oh, that's really clever, because now after the opening, we can go to the time skip, and it will be really cool. They don't do that. That's my other minor problem. They go back to pre-time skip again after the opening, and they don't really show anything too important either in that post-opening pre-time skip kind of part. They could have shoved a lot of that stuff before the opening. I just think the transition would have been way cooler if they just fiddle around with it a little bit so that the opening happened and then we got to, you know, the time skip stuff of Aichi in high school and Miyagi Academy and all that stuff. It's so close, you know? It's just so close. I can see what they're going for there, and I really like it in principle, but the execution's a little bit off. And yeah, Ultra Rare performer, I really like the song. I think the song fits Vanguard a lot better than Rosalia's opening did. It's really catchy. It's grown on me a lot. I really like this new opening. Again, visuals are a little bit simplistic and spoilery, but I'll definitely take it over the previous opening. The ending theme, I feel nothing for the song itself. I've listened to the song itself a few times. I feel nothing for it. I don't know anything about Milky Holmes. I know they're another idol group. And the main thing is the visuals. And this is going to open up a can of worms, because the visuals are very fan servicey. The ending theme begins with a zoom in of Corin's butt. It's an ecchi ending theme, and I don't like that. Now, of course, I'm not the PC police. I'm not the whole, oh, no cute anime girls. I get it. But there's a time and place for it. And card game animes are one of the only genres of anime that consistently stay away from that kind of thing, at least in the anime itself. Again, merchandise and all this other stuff, I don't mind so much. But the anime itself, I kind of want that stuff away because I don't care for that sort of thing in the anime itself. You know, if I want to see cute girls and stuff, I can go literally anywhere. I come to things like Vanguard for the story and everything. And again, the girls are allowed to look cute to an extent, but this ending theme is just give us money because anime girls. And I get it. And it is just an ending theme, so I guess I can skip it and everything. But it kind of goes against a lot of what card game animes are to me. I can totally see what they're doing, what they're going for with it, and I guess I can't complain too much if it does actually end up raising more interest in the franchise, because I get it. That's what this Vanguard reboot's been doing, right? I finally figured it out. It's been taking CardFight Vanguard and naming it at more of a kind of casual anime audience. People that watch a bunch of other anime but don't really watch Vanguard. Within a lot of the anime community, there is a stigma against card game animes that 1, they're just for kids. 2, they don't have a good story. 3, they're mostly filler and you have to watch hundreds of episodes just to get like 10 or 2 episodes worth of content, which is a complete lie, but you know. And so they're stripping out all that stuff out of this reboot. They're like, oh no, look, every episode of story has important story stuff apart from that recap episode, but whatever. And oh look, it's dark and serious, so it isn't just for kids. And I get it, but why? Card game animes are niche. That goes without saying. They're niche. They're supposed to have a cult following. They're supposed to have a fairly smaller group of people that are into it. But because those smaller group of people kind of contribute directly towards the anime by buying a shit ton of the cards, it kind of evens out, right? And so I don't see the point in marketing it towards a more general audience. Like, don't get me wrong, I want more people to be into CardFight Vanguard. I've been making these videos about the franchise for a reason and everything, you know? And I do recommend the franchise to a lot of people. So I do want to see see it grow bigger and everything, but I don't see the point in pandering to the type of audience that's probably not going to like it anyway. That just seems kind of dumb to me. I don't have the sales figures or anything, so I don't know, but it just seems kind of dumb to me. Surely you should take your already existing fans first and try and make them happy, and maybe they are happy, but I don't know. Maybe I'm looking too into this dumb ending theme with Corrin's butt in it, but I don't know. The original Vanguard and G never went this far with it, and before you say, oh, but what about the Rummy Labyrinth ending theme in Next? And I'm like, yeah, I guess you got a point there, but it just sticks out even more as kind of cynical here. I don't know, maybe I am just being biased and wrong, but yeah, oh well. So now let's get into the actual episode itself. Because a lot of that was just me talking about the context around the episode and the opening theme and the ending theme and the time skip and everything. Let's go into the actual content of the episode itself, and there's not much to say. I will say the first half or so of the episode impressed me, because the manga, if I'm correct, almost entirely skips out the Asia circuit. It just kind of, the card fight with Aichi and everything happens, and then it cuts to like Aichi winning the trophy from the Asia circuit, and then it cuts to the time skip, and we don't really get much there. At least they tried to fit some of the Asia circuit in here. I think the time could have been used better, but I at least appreciate the attempt. And so I will give the anime credit here. You know, it is actually trying to improve upon the source material it's adapting, and I think that all adaptations should try to do that. People always go on about how, oh no, this thing is adapting its source material exactly. And I don't see the point in doing an exact adaptation of anything, because then you can just go and read the original source material. I think adaptations should strive to improve upon and change things. Something, original Vanguard, you see where I'm going here. But I like that this episode did try to improve upon the manga in that regard. We got something. It wasn't great. It wasn't amazing, but it was something, and I appreciate that. And I like that it uses this episode as like a kind of transitional episode between story arcs. I appreciated that. As far as the post-time skip stuff, it was good. See, the thing is, again, the reason it was good is because they were just working with good stuff to begin with. You know, the idea of Aichi becoming the world champion or whatever of the card game, and then being thrust into a school or an environment where that doesn't matter and it doesn't mean anything, that's inherently interesting. And so no matter what they did with it, it would at least be good. It would be engaging, because you see this character there that they spent multiple episodes building up and seeing him become better and everything, only for him to get knocked down a peg. Again, I think the original does it better, but the original took 100 episodes to get here, so you gotta kind of balance things, right? And I think as far as this reboot goes, it does it about as well as it could. I would have liked to see them do a scene where Aichi does have to stand up and talk to the entire class, like the original did. That would have been nice. But again, still the way this handles it is good, with him trying to put up the posters and everything, and one of them getting torn and all that stuff. I feel like Naoki here is portrayed as a bit too much of an asshole out the gate. What I liked about Naoki and what immediately gripped him to me was that he was kind of nuanced in his introduction. Like, he wasn't a complete asshole, he was just kind of bored, and he thought that that card game looked a bit dumb and silly. And that's kind of what made him interested. He was like, okay, we'll see what it's about then, because it looks kind of dumb. And I really like their execution there. And this is very similar, but they're a lot more blunt about it. Like, you have 2 scenes of Naoki tripping Aichi up and him looking angry at Aichi and going, oh, what's the deal with Aichi? I don't get it, and everything. And yeah, it's a bit too blunt for me, but you know, it's still good. There's not much else to really say here, because that was basically the entire episode. We end with Corrin being introduced. See, it's interesting because you know how I said they should change things? This is actually a positive change. I like that in this version of Vanguard, Aichi doesn't really know who Corrin is when she joins the class. He's like, she's that member of Ultra Rare, right? But he doesn't know anything else, whereas in the original, we had them interact quite a few times. And again, I still would say I probably prefer the original, but I'm like, if you are going to do a remake, I like going this kind of route of it of, oh no, he just doesn't really know who Corrin is at all. They've never properly interacted before or anything. I quite like that. Again, we only got like 2 seconds of that in this episode, because that's what the cliffhanger they ended it on was, but I'm interested to see more of it. and I'm interested to see where they go with the rest of it. In terms of Misaki, they haven't really changed much with Misaki. She's acting exactly like she would at this point in the original, so there's not much to really say there. I don't like that they outright point out, hey, Misaki's got a haircut now. Yes, I do. Okay, yeah, sure. I don't see why you needed to point that out. It's called Show Don't Tell. Like, I wonder if the next episode is going to do the same thing with Aichi. Like, hey, Aichi, you've also got shorter hair than you did in the last episode. Yep, I do. Like, I don't get the point in that. Like, yes, this is the first major time skip. Of course, the character designs are going to be slightly different. So what? You know? It's a very, very, very minor thing. Yeah, overall, I'm a lot more optimistic. To see where they go with this. I like that the kind of more lighthearted tone of the beginning of this arc clashes directly with the Foo Fighter arc. Again, doesn't make the Foo Fighter arc worth trudging through, but it is something to note. I'm interested to see where they go with Naoki and Shingo and all the others. And yeah,